Absolute pleasure to have in studio with us Wes Golden, Superintendent of Schools for Clinton. Wes, I was in Des Moines at the state track meet the last time you were in, and it was Dave Vickers who had the opportunity to visit with you. So how has the summer been going?
Very quickly, very fast. We just spent the last 3 days with the administrative team, the leaders of the school district, kind of going through, some professional development on leadership and establishing our tentative goals for next year. And that's always fun to really sit down and reflect on how things went last year and really see where we're headed next year.
How does that work? I mean, do you head that up, or what's the...
Yep. I take charge of it, and then Mariah Reeves, our assistant superintendent, she does a lot of work as well. We did have a speaker come in the middle day, the second day, and helped us kind of visualize how we help inspire, motivate, and keep folks going towards improvement, right? So, but the third day we talk about goals and where we reflect on where we were last year, and we really set a direction and heading forward. So, I mean, we have to keep moving forward. And, a couple years ago when I became superintendent, we sat down as a team and we really took the school district's mission statement, which was built by the board of directors, and I love it. And then we created a vision statement and then our values. And so everything should be truly aligned to that, and it keeps us focused. So it's
How long has this been going on? Is this something that's been a part of the administration for a while?
No, I started it a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good. It keeps us grounded. It keeps us centered. It keeps us focused, and it gives us an opportunity as a team to truly find our North Star.
So what made you decide to do this?
Oh, I'm going to say I had a little bit of experience with, my military career, and often, when I took command of a unit, that's one of the first things you do is you sit your leadership team down and you establish your expectations and, what's your vision, and we as a team then figure out how we're going to move forward with our vision, with my vision. So, the key component, though, is their input. It's them contributing to where we're headed because they have to own it, too.
How much has your military background played into what you do now?
A lot. It's really where I cut my teeth in leadership, starting in, when I was commissioned as an officer in 1994. The beautiful thing and what I really appreciate about the military was it allowed me the opportunity, it allows all leaders the opportunity to really work your way through from low-level leadership to high-level leadership and scaffold those experiences so that I personally would say that if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't be in this position. So it's very helpful to me.
And finally, on this, over the 3 days, what were some of the major things that came out of this?
Well, each building has established at the end goal is we have some draft goals. So we have 3 values that we established 2 years ago, but we really wanted to focus on our first value is that all, and I mean this is verbatim, all feel welcome, safe, and connected. And so it's really important for us, and when I became superintendent, is to reconnect ourselves as a district to our community. It's so important that all people, and this is one of the first things I shared with our team, often we as educators, when we hear the word all, we're focused on children, right, our students. But really all is our staff, it's our faculty. Do they feel connected, welcome, and safe in our schools? Do our parents feel connected, welcome, and safe when they walk into our school? Do they feel like, hey, I'm welcomed here and they want me here? Is it our community partners, whether it's KROS? If you are walking in our buildings, do you feel welcomed in our buildings? Do you feel connected to our school district? And do you feel safe when you're there? And so everything is kind of going through that value this year. So when we talk about academics, hey, our goal is to get this percentage of students proficient on this test. The first thing we talk about is in order for a student to academically achieve is they have to feel safe in the space that they're learning. They have to feel connected to the teachers and the people who are educating them. So that's really kind of the line that we drew through this is when we built our goals for academics and such that we draw a line through that they feel connected, welcome, and safe.
I still consider you a young man. And
I'm 54, going to be 55.
You're still a young man. And you've had some of your administrators in on this program, and it seems like they're relatively young.
Yeah, we've got a lot of young folks. I mean, and when I say they're young, they're in their 30s and 40s, right? So they're young to me too. Yeah. But it's a great opportunity for them to learn, grow, and I've always believed that my job is to help them take my job. I'm not going to do this forever, but if I can develop leaders who are going to be that next generation of school district leaders, that's incumbent upon me, and it's my responsibility. So it's fun. And we've got a lot of great folks.
Yeah, we certainly do. Again, visiting with Wes Golden. Of course, Iowa, we get to play baseball and softball in the summer.
Yeah.
And the baseball team wrapped up a pretty successful season. Yeah. But what about summer activities?
Yeah, so over the summer, it still goes. We still have so many things happening in our school district. Molly Jones is our director of the after-school program, but hey, we're not in school, so what does she do over the summer? She runs a summer program for our students. She has several hundred students who come every day. They do activities ranging from going to the pool, going on field trips, but there's also an academic component to it. She just hired one of our teachers over the summer to help run kind of the academic program for them. So that's a great opportunity for kids to keep their brains engaged and keep their bodies engaged, keep their social connections with their friends engaged. And it's so cool because so many of those kids don't get the opportunity to go to the pool or a Lumber Kings game, and it's fun for us to be able to provide those opportunities. Alongside of that, we also have a summer feeding program where students can come in and get lunch and food through the week, and we get a great turnout for that. It's fun that any way we as a district can help students be successful over the summer, let's do it. And of course, baseball. I think they ended up with 21 wins. Yes. They haven't had over 20 wins in a while. They won their first, district or
state game in a while.
It's been a few years.
That was a great game up at Dubuque Senior to go 9 innings. That was outstanding.
Yeah, they've had a great season, and even softball, they're turning in the right direction, getting a few more wins. I was asking the high school team just this week. I'm like, it's pretty cool when 16 of our 22 programs this year had increases in their records. We're really feeling good. We're getting kids participating. We're starting to see success on the field, the court, the course, wherever we're at. So it's good times.
Let's hope those cross-country runners like you and I are out there putting the miles in over the summer.
Oh, man, hopefully they're running early or late.
Yes,
because it's a little toasty out there today.
And it won't be long, the first day of, in fact, tennis is going to be coming up
the
real
3rd of
soon.
August, yeah. 3rd of August, tennis starts. The 10th of August, all the other sports start. Yeah, it's coming quick. That dead week happens soon, and then we're back on. Let's go.
And, not only athletics, but, you're going to see the band out there pretty soon working on the field.
Yeah, I live about a half mile from the high school, and it's so fun when you can hear them out there playing and practicing. And, they've done some things over the summer, a lot of camps. The kids have had opportunities from all grade levels and all activities, be it, band, orchestra. They do summer lessons. It's just so cool to see our students continue to be engaged over the summer, and it's exciting for us to provide those opportunities.
And it seems to me like the summer is getting shorter for these kids, doesn't it?
Man, our students, and always have been from, your time to my time to now, it's just the kids are so pumped, but they're in everything. And when you say the summer, it's like you go right from one season or activity to the next, and that's why I think I do appreciate the state saying, okay, here in July you have a dead week, you got to chill, because there is, when I coached cross country and ran cross country, I ran every day, and with our kids, I'd run with them 5 days a week over the summer, and sometimes it's like, oh boy, when do we get a break? Remember, they're just 14 years old or whatever. Yeah. So
I've got a grandson who's a pretty good athlete. He's going into his sophomore year, and he ran track, getting ready for baseball, and of course weights in the morning as he gets ready for the upcoming football season.
Yeah, I was talking to Nate Herrig.
Okay.
And I think he was telling me, this is just very recently, the last week or two, they've had several hundred students lifting weights in our amazing weight room. Mike Riswald helped putting together. But when you've got hundreds of kids there every day lifting weights, and they're showing that commitment, it's amazing.
And that's something they certainly should be very proud of.
Absolutely.
Because, when I lifted weights, it was like this, the universal machine, and it was in what used to be the health room. And that was it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
My recollection was the underground track,
Yes.
under your gym, it had a dirt around it, and then a cage in the center, and it was the universal, weights, and and there might be 10, 15 kids in there at a time. Now you've got 50, 75, 100 kids at a shot in there. And it's just world class.
No doubt
just
about that.
absolutely world class. We've had folks go in there and like, wow, this is better than college A or university B. And it's just like, yeah, and that's due to a vision of Mike Griswold and the team at the high school. So pretty cool.
Much more with Wes Golden. Let's take a break for the weather, brought to you by Electronics.
Humidity will continue to increase today, and that will mean some scattered showers and thunderstorms for the afternoon. Brief heavy downpour and a good rush of wind possible with those as we hit the low 90s. That activity goes away. Partly cloudy tonight, muggy, overnight lows in the low 70s. With your Storm Track 8 weather impact forecast, I'm meteorologist Andrew Stutzky.
Right now, 82 degrees, feels like 88. Our update brought to you by Electronics.
Electronics Incorporated is the area's largest communications and alarm systems company. Electronics offers best-in-class life safety, security, audio-visual, two-way radios, and communications from top brands. Whether it's a one-man operation, a small business, or a large franchise, their professional team has decades of experience that bring you the best possible service. Electronics Incorporated at 522 North 2nd Street, Clinton.
Wes Golden in studio with us on FYI, Superintendent of Schools. Let's talk about the construction. I always try to drive by. First of all, I want to say hi to Duke, and then I go on by and I can see things really coming along.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see now they're grading the front of the school, and what you can kind of start seeing what things are really going to finally look like. A lot of the trailers out of there for the tools and parts and things like that. The board took a tour of it on Monday. You're really starting to see things come together. The goal is, the hope is, I'm keeping my fingers crossed here, is that that open space, the new commons area, will be ready to go by the beginning of the school year. Now, the whole project may not be finished. There still might be some final things, but that's our goal. And if it's not, we're going to figure things out. But we're so close. We're just so close.
Yeah. So, of course, I get to see the exterior. What is the interior starting to look like?
Yeah, it's that new commons area. When you go out in front and you see that just enormous wall of glass. Behind that's going to be the new commons area for those people who, have been in Clinton High School, or like you and I went to the old Clinton High Schools. It's just going to be this enormous, beautiful space. I mean, you could have events in there. It's so beautiful. When you walk into that space on the right-hand side will be kind of a learning space. It's stair steps. Most college campuses these days have these like learning spaces where it's kind of stadium-like seating, and that's what you'll see over there. But when you walk in, if you go straight back, it'll take you to the Durgan Performing Arts Center. That's where the donor wall and the Hall of Honor will be over in that space. Okay. Over to the left, when you walk in to that larger space, will be the kitchen area. It's still the same kitchen that it was at least when I went there, and that had been renovated at least once or twice since I've graduated high school. And then off the very left will be you see a two-story building, kind of where Vernon Cook Little Theater used to be. There's a two-story space there, and the lower level is where the administrators will be. The AD's office, the principal's office, and upstairs will be the school counselors and their offices, and there'll be some conference rooms over there. But when you go over to the right, when you're in that large open common space, as you kind of veer off to the right, you'll have a hallway that'll take you over to your gym.
Okay.
And in that hallway will be some art rooms there too, and there'll be a couple of IJ classrooms upstairs. But it's going to be so cool.
I would imagine there will be an open house for the
absolutely.
public once everything is done. And I attended the first one. And what I thought was great was that they had, the students, probably student council members, conducting the tours.
Yeah, we'll do a grand opening for everything, and we'll invite the public. We'll have, we'll have refreshments, but we'll have folks come in and we'll recognize all those folks who really contributed to this. Our school board has been, even the past members who from the start of this project to now who've really supported it and have been just on point. I give our school board just a tremendous amount of credit. They've been highly engaged engaged and very focused on getting this done right and within budget. And I want to be very, very clear. I'm knocking on wood here, but we're within budget. And this was all supposed to be done last year. And even with that extension in time and, because of COVID, how this all started and was largely done through that COVID period, it's really, it's been great. So we'll do a grand opening. We'll have speeches from the key folks. We'll recognize, all the key people who've really engaged in making this happen. And we'll have tours. We'll have the kids there. That'll be great.
Something the community certainly should be quite proud of.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the support in that bond referendum from the community was incredible.
No, and that's something I say over and over again. People say, "Oh, it's Clinton," and we grew up here.
Yeah.
And I've had friends and family who've lived here and then moved on, and they see the changes in Clinton, and they don't understand because they don't have that new context. But the community of Clinton has been absolutely amazing. Our parents, our businesses and industries have been absolute amazing supporters of our district. And you just look at our facilities, from our academic buildings, from elementary, middle school to high school now, this is kind of the ribbon on top of, that package, the final piece with the high school. But our fields, our athletic, facilities and so on, our EAC, we've just got fantastic facilities. Our community has been amazing supporters of us and truly grateful for all of that.
Again, visiting with Wes Golden. Well, something we need to talk about. It was in a news story I had this morning. 8th graders participating in high school sports. Now, when I was in 8th grade, there was no way I could have competed against a senior. I could see possibly, some sports like wrestling, the lower weights certainly, but you coached. Your take on this?
Yeah, my opinion, varies depending, but at the end of the day, the legislature, they passed this law to allow 8th graders to participate in varsity sports. Now, here's the context. We've always had baseball. We've always had softball, right? Those two sports have always allowed 8th graders. Now it's the end of their 8th grade year. They're rising freshmen truly participate, and that will remain. But part of the reason I believe the state decided to do this is because there are areas in the state where participation rates have dropped, whether it's girls basketball or football in some places. And so they really want to keep those programs alive, those traditions going. And this was a way in which they felt would help ease that stress. But for us, and I think for many school districts in the area, I can only speak for us, what our board has considered in past was that only 8th grade sports in which we don't have an 8th grade program for will be allowed to participate. So those are, and I had to remember, but softball and baseball, like always. Right. We have tennis, boys and girls tennis. We don't have a middle school program for that. Bowling, we don't have a middle school program for bowling. Golf, we don't have middle school boys or girls golf, and we don't have boys or girls soccer. So those will be the sports that now those students will still have to try out. They'll still have to make the team. They'll still have to be part of that process. They still have to follow all the expectations that our high school kids have to academically, behaviorally, and all that kind of stuff. But I think where it landed was this is an opportunity to build some feeder programs into those sports that we don't necessarily have 8th grade or middle school sports for.
And you certainly could see like where the smaller schools would benefit much more than like a Des Moines area school.
Absolutely. And truly for us too, that was part of the conversation going back and forth is we're not really having those participation number problems or challenges, but how do we reframe this so that it helps supports the River King, River Queen athletic program. So it's not so much about numbers, it's more about how do we build feeder programs. And we have a wrestling program, we have cross country at the middle school, we have swimming at the middle school. Right. We don't want to take away from those programs and deplete them because they're playing high school.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but in the story, it seems like the one principal was saying that once they go to high school, they cannot return as a middle school athlete.
Yeah, that would be. That's a great question. That one has not come up in our conversations.
Yeah, but, that's what he pointed out in the story was say, once he is a high school athlete, he cannot come back and compete at middle school.
Yeah, I think that you'll see a few kids perhaps every year do this from 8th grade to high school. There are certainly students who are physically and just mentally ready for that in 8th grade. Holy cow, I'll walk through some of our elementary schools and look at some of our 5th graders. They're like, holy cow, you're a pretty tall kid already, boy or girl. And there are some 8th graders, it's like, holy smokes, you're physically you're a man, you're a woman, right? Holy cow, you're a big ready to do this thing. We did talk a lot about things like those contact sports like football. It'd be so tough. I know that many of us as superintendents, I'm generalizing here, but I do get concerned about an 8th grader. I know when I was in 8th grade, man, there would have been no way I would have been annihilated in a football game. Some of our senior boys, junior boys they're large, strong, fast people. So there is a safety factor. And I think also with what has been passed, at least by the Clinton School Board, is very reasonable because those aren't high contact sports.
Yeah. That's great. I like to hear that. So again, with Wes Golden wrapping it up with you, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, here we
go. So what does the schedule look for the start of the school year?
Yeah, here we go. It's going. So, girls tennis starts on the 3rd of August. So that's just around the corner. And 1 week later, all other fall sports. So on August 10th, our fall sports begin. New teachers, they show up on the 13th. So we're 4 weeks away. 3.5 weeks away. It's coming quick. All teachers come back on the 19th. That's the official first full day that they have to be there. We have what's called a teacher quality day. The day before on August 18th, it's really more that they can work on professional development and curriculum, but it's really they can choose to come to that day. And then, holy cow, the students, they're here on the 24th of August. Here we go. Now, it seems like a long ways away, but it will come very quickly.
It will be. So what do you hope for this upcoming school year? Year 3 for you?
Year 3.
Okay.
Yeah, that started my my 3rd year.
So you're a junior now?
I'm a junior. I'm a junior. No, we've got some new folks, in administration. We've got a new HR director. We've got a new student services director. We had pretty low turnover in our teaching staff, so we get a lot of awesome folks back next year. Our student numbers are going up, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we continue to, build numbers in our school. We just keep pushing, we keep trying, and like I told our team this week, we're here for them. I serve you, I serve our team, I serve our community, and how do we help our students see their future? How do we help them become the best version of themselves? And because they're all special, they're all important.
Always great to have you in, but if people would like to find out more about the Clinton School District, how can they best do that, Wes?
Yeah, you just Google Clinton Community School District, and we've got a great website with all the information, contact information. Reach out if anybody has any questions. We're here. We're ready to go. Let's go.
All right, very good. We'll be talking to you again on August 20th, and it will be on us.
Yes, it'll be on.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Right now, the Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
Who are you rooting for? Argentina, England, France, or Spain?
Well, I picked England when it started, so I'll stay with England because they